Hey guys, so in this video, I'm gonna go ahead and do my review on the 12th episode of My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic. So, the first episode starts off with Twilight reading one of her books in her castle. Then Spike comes into the room. She's in after doing her dishes. And then Spike mentions that it's funny that ponies come to her for advice on friendship, because he then mentions to her that she used to be famous for not being a good friend, which I think Spike should have used the word infamous for not being a good friend. That would have made more sense. And so then, sorry, sometimes I tend to get distracted with the reflection in my glasses. But anyway, so then Twilight looks at all the photos of her and her friends and then feels guilty about her old friends back in Canterlot, and she can't even remember their names. So then Twilight decides to go back to Canterlot and visit them. And Twilight also asks Spike to write down a list of her old friends' names. So once Twilight and Spike got to get to Canterlot, the first thing they do is they go where Twilight used to live before she moved to Ponyville. And once she sorry, I'm actually wearing a Mizzou Snuggie. I'm gonna take it off a little bit. It's comfy. I know it seems kind of weird that I'm wearing a Snuggie during this review, but anyway, so yeah, they go back to their old home, and then once they finally get back to the place that she used to live in, she realized how much of a mess it was. Then she decided she wanted to make it up to her old friends in Canterlot, but like Twilight said back in the castle, she forgot the names of the ponies' names in Canterlot. So Spike told her the names of her old friends, and they were Minuet, Twinkle Shine, Lemon Hearts, Lyre Heartstrings, and Moon Dancer. So Twilight and Spike decided to sleep in her old home, and then the next morning, Twilight and Spike try to find Minuet, and they find her in this house with an hourglass on top of the door. So then, once Minuet came out, she got really excited to see Twilight, and at first I thought her name was called Colgate, because that's what the bronies had called her, but I guess Hasbro wanted to call her Minuet instead. Anyways, I love Minuet's voice. It's absolutely adorable. So then Twilight and Minuet decided to go see Twinkle Shine and Lemon Hearts. And so they decided to eat at a donut place in Canterlot. And once they got there, that's where Twilight finally got a chance to catch up with all her old Canterlot friends. And then at one point, Twilight apologizes to her friends about her lack of appreciation of her friends, and told them back then she didn't know how important friendship was. But then her friends ended up laughing it off, and it really didn't hurt them all that much when Twilight left. So then Twilight and the gang try to find Moon Dancer, which is another old friend of Twilight. Another old friend Twilight had back in Canterlot. Her house seemed like a mess as well, and once they found her, she didn't seem very happy to see them, and then closed the door on them. So later on, Twilight and the gang try to track her down. Then Twilight starts to remember when she couldn't go to Moon Dancer's party that one day. So next, Twilight really wants to make it up to Moon Dancer. So then Twilight goes in the library and tries to talk to Moon Dancer while she's studying. But Twilight has to make sure she's quiet around others since she's in a library. And by doing so, Twilight makes a force field so no one else can hear what they're saying inside of it. But then Moon Dancer gets rid of that force field that Twilight puts up. So then Moondancer decided to get another book to read, and then Twilight manages to get into that book she reads that she wants to read, and apologized to Moondancer about not going to her party. The Twilight was still getting on Moondancer's nerves, but then she asked Twilight how Twilight got in her book. So next, Twilight and Moondancer head over to Twilight's old home and explains to Moondancer how Twilight got in her book. Then once Twilight and Moondancer got to her old home, Twilight decided to give her the keys to it and told her she can go into it anytime she wants. But first she wanted Moondancer to have some dinner with Twilight and her old friends. But Moondancer still declined. But then Twilight told her that she might be able to teach her hay card methods, which is what Twilight used to get into Moondancer's book. So Moondancer did end up going to dinner with Twilight and her gang to catch up with the old gang. But Moondancer was still having a hard time with the whole friendship, and then left the dinner. So then Twilight went over to the place where Moondancer had her party to imagine how Moondancer felt when Twilight didn't show up. Then Twilight went back to Ponyville to get Pinkie Pie, and once Pinkie Pie got to Canterlot, she was really excited to see Minuet, because Minuet was one of Cadance's bridesmaids, and that's how Pinkie got to know Minuet, and she even hung out with Pinkie a lot when Minuet came into Ponyville. Alright, so in the next scene, you see Moondancer coming out of the library, and she finds a trail of books, and then she starts to follow it. And that trail of books led to a party that Pinkie Pie helped set up, and however, Moondancer still did not show any gratitude. So then Twilight points out her mistake she made about her not going to Moondancer's party because of her studies, and that she wanted to make it up to her by throwing a party for Moondancer, but Moondancer still continued to get angrier about it, to the point where she started crying, which actually made me feel really bad for Moondancer. But then Twilight and her old friends finally ended up making her feel better, and Twilight had said something to Moondancer like, "Don't let my mistake," something like, don't quite remember, but they were all understanding, and they all showed their love and support to her. And then Pinkie had actually whispered to Spike to get the librarian, the bookseller, and even her sister to go to the party as well. So then Moondancer finally did cheer up, and that's where they all began to party. And then later that night, the party came to a conclusion. So then Twilight had to tell Moondancer she had to go, but Spike ended up giving Moondancer a present from her first party, which was a frame of Twilight and her friends. So then the ending of the episode ended with Moondancer finally playing with her friends. And yes, so overall I really did like this episode. I liked all the things that I got, more of the information that I got to know that they left out in the very first episode. I'm really glad I got a chance to know Twilight's old friends, especially Minuet, because she seemed super nice, and she had an amazing voice actress. I love how we're like so far into how MLP has just come so far. This is like the 104th or 3rd episode, and I really like how this episode made me think back to episode 1, which I became a brony 3 summers back. I love thinking back to that summer, because it makes me feel really nostalgic, because MLP is just such an amazing show. I love it so much. So yeah, so alright. So yeah, so anyway, so far the 3 out of the main 6 have had their own episodes, already Pinkie Pie and Twilight. So this alright, so this is my review on the latest episode of MLP. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time, alright? Alright, thanks guys. Alright, bye.